Shading for depth has a lot of different reasons besides just to be in art. Like in 3D, I created this image just to create a net, a body net on a 3D model. And this is just for the color on this one. But this map I created, did all the skin was really dark. It's almost a black. So that the skin is really low and everything else is raised up because it's lighter. And this dark areas through here, it's showing little stitches in it and stuff. And around this white moth, there's a dip, oval dip, because it's darker. So when you have dark, that's deep, and white is light, or forwards more. It's, if you were to consider mountains, the mountaintops would be white, the valleys would be dark. That would be for depth. And these creases in this brawl type thing is deeper. You can see it's deeper because it's shaded deeper. And how it affects the 3D image is like this. See, this is how they're shaped. And without this depth map, it looks like this. So when you add the depth, you can see it's changed. It's deeper. I have it raised up out of the skin more. And this to this, you can see the difference is added on to it. It's deeper. So it's clear to see that this is showing depth. It adds stitches to the smooth black surface, has the deeper dip for the around the moth. And actually, I call this suit the black moth suit for a pilot, this female pilot from another planet. Anyway, this showing the depth by showing the shades where white is high and black is low. And I used it as not as a texture. In the program, you can see where I can turn that off. This use displacement maps, and that would render the picture with the extra height on it, or depth. So that adds that depth. So that's not a texture, it's more displacement. It's surface displacement by using height image. So I guess that's part's explained. Now for something more complicated, like when you're doing the body, I kind of like to separate the body, because the arms could be part of the body, but they get in the way. When you want to do a seam, you want to keep just the arms separate from the body, so you can paint the arms to paint the curve, and paint the curve on the body and make it the way it's supposed to be without the arms being in the way. So I take the arms off, leave it shaded, so that whenever I paint in, I paint part of the shoulders. And when I do part of the arms, I include the shoulders. That way it's sort of like a patch. And when I go with the body, you can see where it overlaps by changing everything to how much, because this could be on another layer, and these could be just blocks, like a selection. Like I'm gonna hold shift or hold control key down and click this, and that selects the body, and I can use that as a selection to paint inside it on another layer. Like I can start a new layer up here and start painting. See, try this color. Soft brush. Oh, that doesn't seem right, but it's more or less selection. Oh, it's multiply. Eh. Okay, yeah. Paint the skin this color. Make it a little bit lighter with a little bit of white. And there. There's my skin color. I'll add it to my list of stuff. Skin. So now it's there for skin. Then I can create a darker color. When you do shading, black is what you use because it can't be a color. Shading goes from one thing to another, but it's in depth. And if you go with like a reddish darker color, it looks better, but it could be deeper unless you can control the colors and how deep they look. And I want to add this to this. So if you're consistent and not going off one thing to another, you can use whatever color you want, just as long as it's darker. And different size brushes creates different size curves. So that makes it harder to do if you're going to work with the body. You need to work with the colors and stuff. And different size brushes. I'm going to work in closer. They usually around the chest here, there's the muscles and stuff. It comes down from the shoulders because they help pull. And then there was this. And you have like a gap right here where the muscles come in from the shoulders. And then you have smaller details up in the top of the shoulders where it's got bones up there, like the collarbone. And there's a dip in the top of the shoulder. Going to another bone right in the top, or muscle. It's really not that important what it is. It's just how the surface is shaped. It could be a muscle, it could be a bone, it don't matter as long as you draw it right. And then the arm comes down here, it smooths out like this, like a bigger curve. And then there's a dip right here. Normally when you do shading, it helps to show depth, but with it, I'm using these shading colors. It's not really black, which is better to be black, but I'm using these because I'm adding a little bit color to it. That's it. It doesn't help depth any. It's the darkness that helps the depth. So this is just basic sketch for a chest. So I'm going to start filling in for the arms. And I could do this on another layer, which probably better off. And fill it in. Use skin color. This arm isn't trimmed or anything. So I was just throwing it in. And whenever I do this, it leaves it. I'll show you the difference between one to the other. Use a big brush. Okay. Now I'm going to hide the selection, hide extras. Now when you work with shades, this is a problem because it's kind of hard to get rid of that line. But this blends in, so it's not hard. It don't have a line. So it blends in better. But I can only work on the areas part of the arm. So I can change the flow rate to something lower. It's too dark. Too dark. But I'll fix that. I'll show you how to fix that. Yeah, I'm going to probably need a smaller brush. Get this curve of the arm. I usually just make the arm like a tube to start out with and then add muscles. Now, where it's too dark, I can pick up this color right here, like a middle color, and use it and soften that dark area. And since this is a depth map, I need the shoulder to be rounded. So this part needs to come up through here. This shadow here should have been stayed in, but I have to redraw it. Or I can erase this area here to help blend in better. See this soft area? It's showing this difference between this and this. This edge is lighter. And the best way to fix that is to use an eraser, a soft eraser. And remove some of this. But I can see that this area here is not being deleted. But it's not because that, let's see, undo eraser. It's because it's being selected and it paints this in that faint area and it won't remove it. And right here you can see where it comes out. And that's not supposed to be part of it. That area shouldn't be in the selection. So I go View, Extras. See this extra here is showing that that was selected. So I'll remove that. And that's part of the body too. Apparently it's showing in the shadow, the shape is on the arms. So this needs to be a soft blend, so I can use the eraser and erase some of this right here. And For this chest to be right, need to add this armpit area. Bring it in more. This gradual area, doing it with a small brush, actually makes it look too rough because it don't look smooth. So I go with a bigger brush to work with. And after I do the bigger brush for the big area, I can reduce it to pick up colors and get some highlights in here. This makes it lighter, this makes it higher. And since this is on the top layer, this arm right here, you can see that it looks like it needs trimmed. But I'll just get the rest of this arm done. Add shading, go deep into the arm here, and pick up this color right here, this darker color, and go up a little bit. Because the shoulder blade. And then the muscle. Where I'm starting to put in the muscles. And this is the area for the elbow. Because the elbow is usually through here below the chest. Just do like that. Then I can add more onto it. Like I said, this area right here where you have this added on to it makes it harder to fix lines that's going through there. So I have to fill it. All right, undo. So I'm going to pick up this color, go with the high flow rate so I can fill in this area and then repaint it. So when you look at where you have a problem, like right here in the cracks and stuff, having it separate helps. Like this should be darker here. So I'll select that. And trim it later and get this darker. And it needs to be less of a curve. And this area here is mostly by shadow, but it's going to have to be darker because this is in front. The arm is in front. Since that's showing through, I guess this isn't full enough. So now we got that. We can trim inside the arm. I usually use a small brush for the eraser, and I use a soft brush. That way I can control how much blur it has. Because not everything is going to be really sharp. Edges kind of blur by distance. So I got that, and I want to click here. I'm using the shift key to click straight lines, like dot to dot. Right here, it should be, the muscle should be bulged out more, and I can work on that. I can add more to make the muscle. It won't stop. Edit, undo polygon. Now I just fill in this area right here. I'm going to use a smaller brush so I don't show the edges. And raise this to 100%. There, now it's filled in. And now select this arm. Lower the flow. And use this. Then I have to add the highlight of the muscle so it's bulged out more. That's 100% flow, which crazy to work with that flow rate. Oh, wait a minute. That's 13%. It just selected the wrong thing. There. And I just add a little bit of wide shade. Then I can fix this right here. See what this is on. That's that part where it got erased. So I use the eraser, take this part out, and use a more of a blend after I got that sharp edge on it. Don't go that far. Oops. Hit it, undo, eraser. I was on the wrong layer. This is for the arm. There's usually a crease, so I'll just kind of draw the crease like a line. Low flow. There, 2 pixels. And go with lower than 13. So when the crease is like this, and then it has a highlight because it's raised up right here. And this crease could have a shadow with a wider brush or shading through here. See? And then go with a wider brush right through here. And narrow for the place I added. And wider for here. And then I'm going to make this a little bit lighter on the shoulder because that's a highlight ball right there, the ball of the shoulder. And a little bit through here. And if this was a woman, let's see, this right here could be trimmed in to make the muscles, but if it has like breasts and that breast was large, it would cover over here, and then I just draw this. So I think I'll start a new layer and draw a dome, or actually I'll just fill this in. This is lighter, stands out farther. and pick a brush size that would go with the roundness of this. So this is a low flow. I barely see anything changing. So now I see changes, and if they have to be, I'll add lighter later. Right now, I'm just getting it down to the shading of the skin, so this matches this up here. I want it to match up here better. So I'll pick up this color. Now I'll add the highlights for the areas in the middle, so I use a smaller brush. So this arm would be affected too, so it would have to be adjusted. Right now I'm going to unselect this, and I got options to make. Continue this. That's what I think I'll do. Then I'll have to redo this line. Probably make it wider. I think I'll go with 2 pixels. I don't know why that's like that. I think I'll remove it. See what button. There it is. The Alt key. There's 2 copies of it. Okay. I'm trying to not go too close to this edge, so I have to fix this. I have to patch it. And you can see that it makes it look kind of bad, so I get a bigger brush and patch it. And this comes out more. I get a bigger brush. So there's complicated shapes, sort of. This just that you have to work with it. And I trim with a small brush. Wait a minute, this is not the eraser. So if I want to pull this in a little more, I just trim it off. And this area here, can't really just go with a wide brush to trim. So you have to work your way out with another brush. Wait a minute. There's a eraser. This usually has a light spot down here, but it's probably not good to have this in the shading because that will make it look raised up. It needs to be dark through here. The reason why it's usually lighter there is because of reflection from light. So we're not dealing with light right now. I'm going to try to redo this edge here. There's kind of like a big difference because this flow rate is messing me up. It goes from one drastic area or shade to another. It's because it's doing too much. It won't let me blend, so I have to go with this right here. Looks kind of rough. But as I shade to get this blend in here, I can always trim with this white area right here by replacing this area with this color and create a line. And that could work this way too. There. Now let's see. It seems that this wouldn't be better if it was darker. So I get a low flow. I don't want it to change too much because it's dark. Now this area right here that I made darker, I can actually bring it back by painting it back in. That makes this edge look blurry. So I can bring some of that back. I think my trim was for blurriness is close to 4. There. So there's complicated shapes compound, but I did them separately. And if you want to see how these are showing, how much they're showing, I can just set them all to like 70%. And then you can see where they overlap. Eh. You can see the overlap. So you might not want that much overlap, or you do, it don't matter. So this neck would show like in the body. When I did the body, the neck comes down here. So the shoulder or the collarbones would be coming down farther because of the angle. So that shows how to do shades and how to do them where there's more different things together. Like this right here, I just painted And this body is painted separate, the arms is painted separate, and when I'm all done, if I want them all merged together, I just merge down. Or I can hide what I don't want to see. Hide that, and that. And then hide this. Select all. Edit, copy, merge. Start a new layer with everything on it. Edit, paste. And this is everything without all these parts. And you can still save those. And if you want to put them all in the same place, edit, step back, you go to channels, select the color, then select inverse, then go to layers and paste. That tells the position that you want it in. And not paste into, because that would only fill in where it's selected, but paste it in where the other one was. So now you can't tell when I turn it on and off, but you can tell when I turn on and off without these. See? So if you didn't catch that, I showed these so that actually I just only need to select the area, and that didn't include or change the area. And then I select the RGB, hold control so it can select that. Now what it's selecting is the color, like white, and I don't want the white selected and not the body. I want to select inverse. So now it's selecting the body. So if I was to fill in with black, you can see what it would look like. And I'll hide these. Edit. Fill. Edit. I usually do it twice because it makes it stronger. So you can see that this is select what it selected. So that was saying paste it here. So it fit right there. And that's what positioned this. Okay. So I guess that's enough for now. I hope this helps shading, but shading for depth is basically the same thing. You want this to be high, you want this to be low, and I think that maybe this needs to be lower right here in between the breast. That I did the wrong thing there. Shade it darker in there. And if I was to go with height, I might as well just include this. I already copied it and I selected area. So I'm just going to copy that and then go to channels and then add a new layer in channels. So now I just added a new channel. Edit, fill. Oh, I meant not fill. Edit, undo fill, edit, paste. This is a black and white version of what I just painted. See, that is this. Now that I have this, I want to show this and not that. Then I'm going to go to Filter, Render, Lighting Effects. That Alpha 1, normally you have to select it. But apparently I got 2 maps in there. And then I'm going to pick a different light, like Omni light. This shows a highlight wherever I want. Then I'm going to pick a directional light. This shows direction. So if I want it to be brighter, I'd make the line shorter. But this shows that the light is coming from the top, going down this way. I could go directly down, like this, and make it lighter or darker. And it's using this levels on this map here, as I can raise this up, make it higher or lower. So I'll just leave it right there in the middle. And you can see how the lighting effect is affected by what I drew. This is shadow underneath the breast because the breast was showing that it was higher up. And there's less right here because this arm is almost meet up with this. It's higher. This right here is the highest. It's got a shadow all around it. And this crease right here is showing because this crease that I made makes this spot lower right here a little higher, and this is the highest part right here. This is muscle is high, this muscle is high, the shoulder blades are showing, and this is a dip, and this is the stomach shape. So I could have, looks like this could be darker through here to make it look curved around more. But Photoshop only does a few layers and then flatten out. Like this right here, this is flat. So I was to do a new layer and do paste, image, edit, paste. This is lighting right there is added to that because of the shape I made here. And the lighting was from the top up here. This dark area right here, that's just showing it because it's black, but you can work with it if you want to help you show depth, because it does it with Photoshop, but it's rough and it's limited